ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
For our last show ever.
Don't talk like that.
What? What's wrong? What's wrong? What am I doing? Is it a picture?
Just stop looking like that.
I mean, I'll just wear a bag. You did say in one of the first episodes or one of the first things that, you know, we have faces for radio. So
we do have faces for radio.
Like, you're lucky I showed up. You're lucky I'm dressed. Got paint on my shirt.
You're so silly.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay. So, hi. Welcome to our podcast.
Yes.
What's with the Neighbors? That's Bree.
And that's Amy.
And
here's a quick recap of what's been going on the past month with Amy.
I'm
moving. Next week.
Yeah.
Oh
so
God.
This will not be the last recording for us, though.
No.
Yeah. So stop.
Okay.
But first, we have a few announcements. You guys need to either follow our YouTube or our socials. TikToks. There's gonna be a hilarious TikTok coming out.
Yeah, we just spent a lot of time making a TikTok.
Yeah, it's going to come out even before this comes out. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out because it's hilarious.
Yes.
And join our Patreon and stuff like that.
Yeah, join our Patreon. Support us, guys.
Yay.
And share our podcast. That is the biggest thing.
Yep.
And also order some shirts because we've got merch. Merch.
Ooh,
You don't have to order shirts. We have hats and everything else too,
yeah,
like on Zazzle.
Yeah. And rate us.
Yeah.
That's the biggest compliment.
Oh yeah, absolutely. A nice one, please. That would be.
Yeah. Someone gave us
preferred.
like, what was it? Like one time? That was really rude.
Poop head.
That was like over a year ago and we still haven't let it go.
It's fine. I'm not mad about it. We don't care.
No.
Hey, do you want to hear a joke?
Yeah, I do actually. Thank you.
Why did the can crusher quit his job?
Because a can crusher can't can.
Because it was soda pressing.
That was a good one. That was cute.
Yeah, I'm bringing corny jokes back.
Cake or ice cream?
Ice cream.
Nice. Cake.
Oh, is that your only question for me?
Yeah.
Yes, I love ice cream.
So we're going to do something that's...
Both hurt my stomach, by the way. Anyway.
Yes. Poor Brie. So I don't know. We've done this a couple times on the podcast, but we decided that we would like to make it more of a reoccurring situation. We bought the sauce that took internet by storm. And just
wowed everyone.
It wowed everyone. It's been a sensation. It's called the pink sauce. Actually, It's just called pink sauce. And let me read this to you. So the ingredients include dragon fruit puree, canola oil, coconut cream, water, sugars, distilled white vinegar, garlic, maltodextrin, ranch flavor, spices, some other stuff that like to make things like not like go bad. So it says
all great wholesome ingredients, by the way.
It says far from ordinary, from TikTok to table, shock your taste buds with flavor and thrill. Taste Chef Pie's famous sweet and tangy sauce made vibrant with dragon fruit and spices. Are you ready to try the pink sauce that becomes an overnight internet sensation?
Are you?
No. And literally on the label it says, as seen on TikTok and Instagram.
Oh, snap.
So we're going to try it.
Yeah.
I Googled what we should try it with, and it said, like, it's supposed to taste like ranch.
Yeah. I should have got some potato chips. I've got potato chips. That's okay.
So Brie doesn't like carrots or broccoli because she's
Raw
a child.
broccoli. It's gross. It's too dry. Like, who wants to eat raw broccoli? It's so dry.
I love raw broccoli.
That's like, I don't mind the taste. It's just so dry. That door is shaking so bad. It is so dry.
They went in.
Yeah, I have cucumbers.
Cucumbers. So
Cucumbers.
you're going to try it with cucumbers.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try it with a broccoli.
Oh, it smells so good.
Okay, but first off, it looks like...
My mouth is watering.
Remember
right now.
when we first said that this is not a food podcast?
Yeah.
So it's like a light pink color.
It looks like pink ranch.
Yeah,
Kind
it
of.
does.
But the
like
specks are like tinier.
Yeah. I don't know. It looks like a soft pink, but not like a baby pink.
Oh my god, it smells so
You
good.
know,
My
like
mouth is
bubble
watering so
gum?
bad. Can we just freaking try this?
You know bubble gum that you've been chewing for a long
Ew,
time, like
yeah.
pink bubble gum?
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
That is what it looks like.
That's the color of
I don't
it.
want to eat it now.
All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. Yep. It tastes like ranch. Oh, it's kind of spicy.
Oh, yeah.
What on earth is spicy?
It's got pepper in it. Mmm.
It said pepper? Mm-mm.
Also, I'm sorry for chewing in your... But, you know, this is an ASMR moment. Watch. Listen. Mmm. I love cucumbers so much.
But I don't know. It says salt and spices. It's just,
It's spicy spices.
whew, that spicy is spicy. I'm going to try it with a carrot. I guess it should be like a...
Everybody's getting like overload with two people chewing. Like, oh my god.
This is good.
It's good. It's good. I'm going to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It smells better than it tastes. I think the spiciness is what's bothering me the most. I do like this. Oh, you know what?
What?
It would be good on wings.
Oh, yeah.
This would be really good with wings.
I'm bothered that it looks like it's supposed to be sweet.
Yeah, same. I was expecting it to be sweet.
But I guess this is like a healthier alternative to ranch, because ranch is what? Mayonnaise and...
Deliciousness.
Yeah. So it's a good, healthier version for
It's
it.
good. It is good.
I like it. I
It's
think
yummy.
it would be a good, fun way to get kids to eat salad.
Yeah. Give them spicy ranch.
Yeah.
Why is my mouth burning? All right. Well, do you have any more
was fun, thank you.
announcements or anything?
Nope. I'm
All
good.
right.
Do you have a neighborhood story?
I do. It's titled Clearly a Cult. Possible cult activity at Nixon Library.
Oh.
During the entirety of my library visit, which was about an hour, I watched this man stare at photos of Gary Busey and print them off. I do not know what his agenda is, but I have a feeling it could be a cult or Illuminati related.
Oh my gosh.
Good night. Maybe he
Or
was doing like a school project on
maybe
Gary
make-
Busey.
doing some research for a podcast.
Yeah, or that. Yeah. He's like, I'm going to do a story on Gary Busey this week.
And suddenly we're being reported about.
Yeah, exactly. Now the cops are at your door. All right, now this is what everybody's waiting to hear about, Amy. Let's hear about it.
I have a confession to make.
What?
My parents left this morning to go to drive down, right? And our episode doesn't come out until tomorrow.
Right.
And they're not going to have service. And I was like, well, it's out on Patreon. I was telling my mom, our episode. And she's like, no, I don't know how to work Patreon, even though she is a Patreon donor.
Mm-hmm.
And so I emailed it to her this morning last week's episode.
Oh, that's okay.
So that she could listen to.
That's okay.
She's like, I need to know.
I hope you enjoyed it, Candy.
Yeah. Because she knew that I was doing this Natalia Grace story. So, so this week I'm going to tell you the second part of Natalia Grace. So last week we ended up with Kristen had put Natalia out on the back porch because she wasn't telling her who she had stayed with prior.
Right.
And she was crying and the neighbors called and the police came. Right. And the officer was like, yo, this kid is not a kid.
This she's lying about her age.
Yeah. So that's where we started off. So if you don't know what we're talking about, go to last week's episode 89 called Ways to Die or something like that. Tips on how to die or something like that. And check it out. Okay. So the officer did some digging and found her paperwork from the orphanage from the importation from Ukraine to the United States, which included her height, weight, and her hair color, and even a photo of her, right? And he was like, yo, she hasn't grown an inch in the last 2 years that she has been in the United States. And if she's 6 years old, even if she was a dwarf, like had dwarfism, she should have at least grown a little bit.
Right.
So, Natalia even admitted to the office. Oh, and she didn't even look like the photo. Like when you come in, they take a photo of you.
Right.
Natalia didn't even recognize the girl in the photo. So Natalia even admitted to the officer that she was told what her new birthday was when she was at the orphanage in Ukraine. And she was like, I was told to tell you that my new birthday so that it's more appealing to be adopted.
Okay.
The officer told the family to call an attorney and correct her age. And the Barnetts were like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But I guess you can. So, and I guess it happens quite often, especially with ages or adoptions from overseas, because sometimes they'll falsify the birth date to make the child look a little bit more appealing.
Right. Which is messed up.
Like a year or two, like instead of a 3-year-old, it's a 2-year-old, because 2-year-olds are more appealing to adopt.
Because you have more time with them when they're babies.
Yeah. So the Barnetts, through their attorney, filed a motion to get Natalia's age legally changed. According to the attorney, Natalia's primary doctor had solid evidence to prove that her age was actually 22 years old.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
From her bone structure to all these things that went into this evidence. Like he was like, yes, she is not 6 years old. She is definitely 22 years old.
Whoa.
So Natalia's new year of birth was 1989.
Oh my gosh. They have an adult now.
Yeah. So they went from having a kindergartner, first grader, to a full grown adult.
They grow up so fast.
That was good. I'm sorry. That was really good. She got a new birth certificate, an ID, all the works. Kristen takes Natalia to Westfield, Virginia to find her an apartment. They're like, congratulations, you're an adult now.
You get to grow up all of a sudden.
Suddenly.
It's like that movie Big with Tom Hanks in it.
Yeah.
We're going to have a trampoline in my house.
So they got her a small apartment on a single floor apartment complex. Her parents gave her furniture and bought her groceries.
Oh my God, still.
So one day Natalia had just gone grocery shopping with her mom. Kristen stopped in front of the apartments and Natalia got out with her mom. Her mom put the groceries on the curb and got back in. And there was this lady that was outside and it was one of her neighbors. Her name was Sue. And Sue was like, hey, little girl, do you need help? And Natalia was like, I'm not a little girl. I'm 22 years old. Okay. And she was like, okay, do you still need help? And so she helped her bring in groceries to inside the apartment, and Natalia's mom, Kristen, was just sitting in the car, just like watching them do this instead of like helping. And she didn't even say like, oh, thank you for helping. Nothing. She just sat and watched and then drove off. All of her neighbors noticed that she wouldn't shower for days on end. She would wear the same clothes for weeks at a time. Some speculated that she would only shower or get clothes changed when her dad would come visit. And only her dad would visit. Kristen wouldn't visit, and the boys wouldn't visit, just her dad.
But she would come out and watch her? Or
she would like take her... No. Kristen had taken her grocery shopping.
Oh.
And dropped her off.
Okay.
Yeah. So mom would never come in and check on her.
Okay. She never actually went inside.
Correct. Some of the neighbors got together and all decided that they needed to contact the Department of Social Services because they're like, this girl is not being taken care of. Like, she stinks. She
Can
doesn't
they do
shower.
that about adults, though?
Well, yeah. I mean, she has a disability.
Okay, right.
Adult social services is a thing.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. So, they were worried for her well-being because even if she was an adult, like I said, she still needed help and her basic needs still need to be met.
Right.
Once Michael and Kristen realized that they were being investigated by the Department of Social Services, her parents were going to war with the county. Michael ended up recording every encounter he would have with Natalia. It was also speculated that Michael and Kristen also only started buying her the groceries after they started an investigation on her. Dad would do weird things like question where she got donuts from. One time, like in the documentary, there's a recording and he's like, where'd you get the donuts? And she was like, oh, they were there. And he was like, no, they weren't, because they're still within the expiration date.
Right.
And she was like, oh, someone down the street gave them to me. And he's like, who? Like, who freaking cares who gave her the donuts? She was hungry and they gave her donuts.
Exactly.
Like, just grilling her for like no reason. Okay. Michael wiped Natalia's contacts from her phone so she couldn't call anyone, specifically the investigators.
Oh.
Because he didn't want her contacting them and like saying like, hey, my parents haven't been by in a couple days, and so they just deleted all of her contacts. Another neighbor couple, Melanie and her husband Tony, when they first met Natalia, they instantly knew that she was older than she looked just by the way that she acted. They didn't mind Natalia at first. She was friendly, easy to talk to, but then she started becoming almost possessive over them.
Okay.
She would call them and be like, hey, where are you? And they'd be like, we're at our son's game. You know, can we talk to you later? And she'd be like, when are you going to be back? And they'd be like, I don't know. Like, Natalia, you're not our keeper.
Yeah, exactly.
She would call them and ask when they would be home. Like I said, she would also just like walk into their apartment and help herself to some food. And they were like, hey, Natalia, please stop.
And it's like, it's an apartment. It's not, you and I walk into each other's houses. But,
right.
But also we're like buds.
Yeah.
Different situation. And I also wouldn't help myself to food unless if it was on the counter and it was already cooked.
Right. Or like, I think it's a matter of like how open you are with this person. Right.
Yeah.
And they were not on that level with her.
Right.
But maybe she felt like she was on that level with them. But I don't know. I would be like, hey, can you just like not? I don't know. Everyone living around her literally would wonder if I go if I go outside, is Natalia going to trap me in a conversation when I try to leave? They were like, she was truly a pest. At one point, Natalia had called the police.
I'm sorry. Is this your husband trapping people in conversation?
I know. I know.
I talk so much sometimes.
So much.
Stop it.
So much. At one point, Natalia had even called the police on herself. She stated that she wanted to hurt her neighbors and was going to burn the apartments down using her microwave.
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
Maybe putting foil in it. I don't know. A fork. One of her neighbors asked her why.
Use a match, though. Why are we just grazing over that?
Maybe she didn't
I'm gonna burn your building down with a microwave.
Well, maybe she didn't have a match.
A candle. And there were so many other things to start fires. Not a freaking... You're just gonna go carry a microwave to their apartment?
But no. I'm thinking
light...
that she was gonna burn her apartment down and the apartments around her.
I guess that makes more sense. But still.
I don't know. I don't know, Brie.
Easier ways to start
That's
fires.
all the information I have about the microwave.
All right. Noted.
So one of the neighbors asked her why she didn't live with her parents, and she was like, "Oh, I tried to kill my mom.
It's fine.
No big deal.
Standard."
She said, "I tried to stab them, poison them. You know how it is. So I had to live in the garage." And the neighbors were like,
That sounds about right. That checks out, actually. Everything makes sense now.
You know what? Good to know ya. So
never going to talk to you again.
And like they were scared of her. It was really sad.
Of course they were.
Yeah. So Melanie and Toby, her neighbors, started to get very uncomfortable with Natalia around her boys. She would meet the older boys at the bus, or their older boy at the bus stop when no one was around. And one time he went over to another neighbor's house when the grandma wasn't there, but her grandboys were, and the grandma caught her leaning up on the boys while they were playing Xbox. And she just like kept getting caught in these like uncomfortable situations, like just too close for comfort,
Like intimately, or like just uncomfortable?
Just like she'd be like leaning on them, or like getting too close to the boys. And I guess like if you already don't like this person, it's uncomfortable.
Like bubble.
Yeah, there's a bubble.
Yeah.
Right. So one day Melanie and Toby heard the door open, and their dog, they had like a little chihuahua, was going crazy. And they caught Natalia in the hallway heading towards their son's room. Luckily, they stopped her from anything that could have possibly ended up being bad.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So one day, one of the neighbors, Fred, was in the apartment laundry room doing his laundry, and Natalia walked up to him and started saying these making sexual advances towards him, forcing Fred to like leave the laundry room and almost leaving his clothes behind. He's like, "Hold on, let me gather all my clothes.
I need to go. What? You're gonna do what to me? Oh, okay, all right.
Let me get my clothes real quick."
I'll bye.
He's like, "Do I leave my underwear behind?" No. One day, Natalia was playing with a neighbor boy on the grass when they were rolling around up and down the hill. She suddenly reached over to the boy and reached down his pants.
Oh, okay.
And the dad like ran over and stopped from anything happening.
She has penetrated the bubble. There's no more bubble anymore. Stop it.
So that was the beginning of the end of her at this apartment complex, because clearly everyone's uncomfortable, but they never had the apartment manager didn't have any solid ground for her to kick her out and break that lease. But after 3 complaints, they cannot renew the lease.
Okay.
So,
that's fair.
Yeah. So once that lease came up, they were able to like say like, "No, sorry, we're not renewing this lease." So it came up, she had to move. So Kristen took Natalia to Lafayette, Indiana, and got her an apartment there. The only catch, though, Brie, was that Kristen, Michael, and the rest of the boys had plans to move to Canada.
Oh my gosh.
Well, Jacob, their super smart son, was going to go to a university there or some sort of institution.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, like, to advance his career or whatever he was doing. But this made it so that if she needed her family, they were not available
right away. Right.
Yeah. So the apartment she was put in was on the second floor near a homeless shelter and 2 blocks from an adult GED center. It was a very sketchy side of town. Lots of homeless people. One of the neighbors that was interviewed said, like, I don't even walk around inside my home without a weapon.
Jeez.
So that just kind of goes to show of how, like, sketchy it was.
Yeah.
Christine initially took all of Natalia's took her cell phone, but they ended up getting in trouble with social services for that. So they gave her phone back, but took all of her contacts out of it so she couldn't contact anyone.
Oh my gosh.
The electricity bill also would go a month or so without being paid. So she would go without electricity. So real quick, we're going to go on a little side trail.
Okay.
Years prior to the social worker's home study that was done, where Michael and Kristen did a self-evaluation and where they stated that there was no domestic violence inside the home. There was, years prior to that, there was actually a police report where there was a domestic violence report within the home. Michael had Christine, is it Kristen? What am I saying?
Kristen.
In a headlock. And he like threw her down the stairs, pushed her, and had her like and she like ended up like crawling to the front door or something. And
oh my
reporting
gosh.
him. So that is just like they're trying to paint this picture of like this beautiful family, and like actually it wasn't this perfect family.
There's more to the story.
Yeah. So according to a neighbor, Michael and Kristen would be seen multiple times outside arguing and screaming, and Kristen would often degrade Michael, be like, you're nothing, like you're not even a man, like things like that. So also remember the cow farm that they went to? So for one of the boys' birthdays, they went to like this dairy farm, and they went like on a tour for it. And Kristen reported that Natalia had tried to push her into an electric fence.
Yes.
Okay. So there were plenty of other witnesses that arrived after the initial incident. Workers arrived, and other dwarfism experts had actually debunked what Kristen was saying. They were saying that Natalia was unable to actually pull Kristen to the fence.
That's what I thought. I was like, how in the heck? She's got to have some killer arm strength.
Yeah. So Michael had, in 2 separate interviews within the years, one I think it was like in 2018. He says he does not recall what happened at the farm because he was like so far ahead with the boys.
Okay.
So he doesn't know what actually happened. And then like the next year, he said he saw Natalia pulling Kristen into the fence.
Oh, so now you remember a year later.
Yeah. So
that's not how that works.
Right. In a forensic interview with Natalia in 2019, Natalia stated that she had fallen at the farm, and Kristen tried to help her up, but ended up falling as well.
Like with her.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then Kristen turned around and like made it this huge thing, saying that she like tried to pull her into the electric fence. But like the workers at the farm were like, that fence wasn't even on. Like, it wouldn't have mattered because it was off that day.
Right.
So, okay. So just like a couple side notes, I didn't really know where to put those within the story.
No.
So back to this Lafayette apartment, one of her new neighbors got a knock on the door, and Natalia asked for a sandwich because she was hungry. And of course, the lady made one for her. She had 5 kids of her own. She was like, what's another kid with the sandwich? Like, no big deal. Natalia also started going to the GED center down the road to get her GED. And the neighbor that made her that sandwich one time realized that Natalia left one morning and then never came back.
Okay.
This is in 2014. Michael and Kristen got a call in Canada from the GED Center asking if they had seen or heard from Natalia. And of course, they're like, no, we're in Canada. Like, we are showering in maple syrup.
That's
okay?
our daughter. We don't have contact with her.
Yeah, right? They're like, no, we haven't. But then the parents are like, wait, what? Like, maybe something bad happened? Like, not... In the interview, he made it look, oh no, what if somebody kidnapped her? But I think they were more worried that she had like gone off with a social worker and they were like making this big like investigation about them. That's what I think. But a few days later, the center called and they're like, oh, just kidding. We found her. She's staying with this woman named Cynthia. So they called Cynthia and Cynthia was like, oh, it's all good. She's living with us now.
Okay.
And they're like, no, you can't just live with, like, she's our kid.
Yeah.
You can't just, like, have her. But no, she's 22. She gets to do whatever she wants.
She's an adult.
So adult protective services go out and check on Cynthia and her family. Turns out that the family had used Natalia's $500 she gets in food stamps and had her social security checks mailed to their house. And instead of getting the mail to her parents' house where they would reimburse themselves for the rent and electricity, which they didn't always pay.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah. So her parents were cashing these electricity or social security checks and claiming, oh, we're reimbursing ourselves for the like a year advance in rent that we paid for her and her electricity. It's like, but you're not always paying the electricity.
You're banking off of her.
Yeah. And are you also reimbursing yourself for all this like groceries that you paid for her in the past, but she was also getting food stamps? So Cynthia and her husband, they also had Natalia sublease the apartment, which, like I said, her parents paid for in advance. So they were actually making money off of her subleasing the apartment plus her social security checks.
Okay.
So we're going to jump a couple years now. In 2019, Michael and Kristen ended up getting a divorce. Michael had moved back to Lafayette, Indiana, and there was an officer there that was doing some investigation on the family because nothing is adding up. Nothing still is adding up.
Right.
So he goes and meets with Michael and he's just talking with him and he's like, all right, be honest with me. How old do you think Natalia actually is? And Michael's like, right here, right in this moment. And the officer's like, yeah. And Michael's like, I think that she's 22 years old.
Okay.
Which would make her 16 at the time of her being put in that first apartment.
Right.
So the next day, Kristen and Michael had 2 charges against them for child neglect.
Jeez.
Because Michael just literally confessed that he thinks that she was actually 16 years old in this apartment. And you're neglecting this child.
Right.
So Michael turned himself in. And the next day, Kristen also turned herself in. And Michael's story started to change. Michael started to come out and say that Kristen had manipulated the entire family. Michael said that there was many times where he would come home and Natalia had her nose. Michael said that there were many times where he would come home and Natalia had her nose to the wall. And one day he came home and Natalia had been sitting on the wall for over 8 hours. She had peed herself. And Michael said that Kristen yelled at him and said, like, don't do anything, like you are going to support your wife and back me up because you haven't been home all day.
What?
And at 2 a.m., Natalia still had her nose to the wall and she ended up defecating herself.
Oh.
Because she didn't leave that wall. Her mom wouldn't let her leave the wall.
Oh my gosh.
But
also, you have to clean up after that. So why would you do that to yourself?
But if she's like 6 years old, does she actually have to clean it up?
No, I'm saying why would the mom do that? Like, why would you do that to your child when you know you're going to have to clean up after it?
But what I'm saying, if she's 6 years old, you can say like, take off your pants and throw them away.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, true.
So, I don't know.
Oh, that's messed up. Okay.
So, according to Michael, he said best case scenario when he would come home, Kristen would be in the living room mad and Natalia would be in her room. And he said worst case scenario, he would come home and find Kristen beating Natalia with her fists.
Jeez.
So he also pushed Natalia down the stairs at one point. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Kristen also pushed Natalia down the stairs at one point.
Okay.
Kristen had made her 3 sons spank and hurt Natalia as punishment, and she would sit and watch.
Oh.
And like I said before, Natalia would go to the bathroom in the car, but she would also do it like on the couch, bed, blankets. So Kristen would force Jacob, the one with Asperger's, to pee in her bed to retaliate.
Oh my gosh.
Is that weird?
Yes.
And Jacob, in the interview, he was like, that was the most like vivid part of this memory that I have, and like it cause
so like demeaning too,
and
like,
degrading.
Yes, sorry, not demeaning.
Both.
Degrading.
Like what the heck? He hated that part. He was like, I hate it. I hate that memory. Before the
he was young, so he didn't know any better. He was just doing what his mom told him to. His
yes.
mom that he sees choking someone or beating someone.
Yeah, right.
Like he doesn't want to get beat.
Right. So before the parents were before the parents were to face their fate in court, even though the couple had already divorced, Kristen would use her body to manipulate Michael into not testifying against her. So she would like send him these like flirty texts and stuff like that to like try to get him to stop like saying things or don't say this on the stand and stuff like that. He also found out that she had been cheating on him multiple times throughout their marriage. In 2019, Natalia's mother was tracked, her original birth mother.
Okay.
Her original birth mother?
Yeah.
Just her birth mother.
Just her birth mother.
She doesn't have multiple birth mothers. In 2019, Natalia's birth mother was tracked down in Ukraine, and she claims that the person in the photo is, in fact, Natalia, and said that she was born in, hold on, because I forgot. Oh no, I threw my other papers away.
Okay, that's okay.
But she said that, like, at the time,
confirmed.
she confirmed that what was on the birth certificate was actually her date of birth, her original birth certificate. So, and she also said that she put Natalia up for adoption because of her disabilities, because the doctors were like, basically, if you keep this child, she's going to have a miserable life. You're not going to have any money because you're going to be constantly trying to care for her,
right,
and give her the things that she's going to need. You're not going to be able to do that. And she also said, oh yeah, and this kid is also a sociopath.
Right.
So, in October of 2022, Michael went to court to face his felony charges for child neglect. He ended up being found not guilty because the judge had ordered that Natalia's age not be mentioned during the trial for both parties. And so they basically were both trying to argue these things, but they couldn't say like, well, she was only 6 at the time. They couldn't say that. Or
right,
she was 22 years old and living in they couldn't say either of those things.
Right.
So, so after that, in March of 2023, so this year, Kristen's charges were actually dropped. As of today, Kristen lives in Florida and posted on Facebook on May 28th defending her treatment towards Natalia. She said, I do feel I was the only one who really saw Natalia as a capable, beautiful human being inside of the package I was presented and what she was going through. She was struggling with identity for who knows how many reasons. It even made her violent. But I will say that all I did was what I always do. See a capable, beautiful human person. The saddest thing here is how dwarfism is being portrayed. The idea that the media will even use people with short stature to try to perpetuate current day ideas that short people are children or need to live in doll houses that are miniature or cannot make their own medical decisions or function in the real world is terrible. I never saw Natalia as any different than anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. You hear that? Short people? That's all I got out of that.
Basically,
bullshit.
So in her Facebook post, Kristen goes on to insist that Natalia was an adult and she wanted to treat her as such. She also commented on the man's family, the Cynthia.
Okay, yeah.
And her husband. She commented on the man's family. Antoine Mans and Cynthia Mans, who emotionally adopted Natalia in 2016. She said, we went to court with medical evidence and presented them from becoming her her guardians, fighting for her right to make her own. Oh, sorry. Let me back up. The Mans family, Cynthia and Antoine, they tried to adopt Natalia in 2016, but were denied because she was legally an adult.
Right.
So she's in this, Kristen went to court saying like she is an adult. They can't adopt her.
Right.
So she said, we went to court with medical evidence and prevented them from becoming her guardians, fighting for her right to make her own choices, and we won. That is not abandoned. That is concerned and actively trying to help. They are not her legal parents. She also claims that it was the state who abandoned Natalia, not having adequate services for her.
Okay.
So Michael Burnett is in Indiana right now. He is with his oldest son, Jacob. He has not spoken with his other two sons in over 8 years, and he hopes that he'll be able to someday. I believe Michael has also remarried. I'm not positive. I don't remember from the documentary if he had or not. I can't remember. So Natalia had something to say about this documentary that came out.
Okay.
She was also on Dr. Phil with her new family.
Oh, okay.
But Natalia said, the things that Kristen and Michael have said that I have done is a lie. I have never done anything that Kristen and Michael have said that I have done. You can ask anybody in my family now. You can ask Bishop Antoine and Cynthia Mans that. Just ask them, has she ever done anything? They will tell you who I really am. They're not going to lie, and neither am I. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating to hear anything that's being said from Kristen and Michael. And because I already don't know who I am and want to know who I am and what happened to me, but I'm hearing all this stuff that never actually happened from Kristen and Michael. I'm like, it's shocking and it's frustrating because that's not even true. And people are believing what Kristen and Michael are saying without even hearing my side. Y'all have heard from Kristen and Michael and what they have said, but you need to hear both sides in order to know what happened.
Yeah.
So this summer, there is going to be a documentary called the Curious Case. No, I forgot what it's going to be called. It's like Natalia Grace's side or something like that. Like her side. There's going to be a documentary that comes out and it's her side of the story.
On what?
Probably on HBO or on HBO Max because that's where it came out. But I've also seen heard other podcasts talk about it on other streaming platforms. But that's where I saw it. So that is the partial story of the Curious Case of Natalia Grace.
So how old is she?
I don't know. So
because it sounds like she could have been younger, and whenever they made her move out, she was actually 16, not 22.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but no, so when when Michael was interviewed asking how old she is, and Michael said how old she is right now, and he said 22 years old. That was years after she had already been in an apartment on
Right.
her own. So she would have been 16 at the time.
Right. When she was living on her own.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah. So that means she actually was younger when she was living with them, like in her
Right.
teens.
Yeah. So I think, okay, so I have a couple theories. First off, why are the neighbors making all these comments about these, like, accusations of, like, her and the boy in the grass and her with Fred in the laundry room?
Yeah.
So there's, and like those nurses at the psych ward, like there's these things that people are saying that have nothing to do with the story.
Exactly.
So I do believe that maybe she could be
not mentally
stable.
Right. It was like her birth mother said, didn't she say she
Yeah,
was a psychopath?
Yeah.
Maybe she's schizophrenic.
She could be. But she, like, Cynthia and Antoine claim that they haven't had any issues with her whatsoever. So I have a couple of theories. The fun one that I like to think, because I love just drama and I love crazy out there theories, is I think that maybe she could have stolen a child's identity.
Oh, that's not actually a terrible crazy theory, because that does happen.
Right. She stole the child's identity, went over to the United States, claiming that she was this 6-year-old.
But then her birth mother confirmed that was her, though.
Could have been any photo.
Right. And it could have been any person. Like, she could have been lying.
Exactly. So, I mean, really, how are you supposed to know what your kid's going to look like when they're an adult? If you've never seen them before. So, I like that one because it's crazy and bananas. But I think that she also could have been, she is, mentally unstable and is, maybe she's on medication now, and that hasn't been said.
Yeah.
Maybe Cynthia and Antoine put her on medication. Yeah. There's also the theory, like, to go back to the first theory of, like, she stole this family's identity. Well, maybe she finally found a family that isn't going to, like, abuse her. So she found, like,
a good place to crash.
Or she's just waiting for the perfect opportunity.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see.
Because she hasn't been with them that long.
She's been with them since 2016.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a while.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's so weird.
I know.
And it's like, do you, like, whose side are you taking?
I
like,
know.
Whose story do you believe?
I don't believe either of them.
I don't either. I want to know what happened.
If you watch the documentary, you will see, which I really think you should, Michael is the most dramatic human being I have ever seen. He, like, when he talks about Kristen, like, beating Natalia, he, like, gets on the ground and is, like, punching the floor.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god,
too much.
He's so much. Like, I almost I was like, I can't stand this man, I'm going to turn this off. Because he's so much that it seems fake.
Yeah.
The things that he's saying.
It's just too much.
Yeah.
What do the sons think about it, though? It
Jacob,
sounds like, yeah.
So
he was
the other
one that said that he peed on him. Peed
yeah,
on her, right?
No, he thinks that he's scared of her.
Okay.
He is legitimately scared of Natalia. He didn't really go into detail. I can't remember if he did, of what he thinks now, if I can remember correctly. I haven't watched the full documentary in over a week, so today I mostly went off of memory and then, like, trying to get dates.
Right.
But I want to say, I think he, like, wishes her the best and wishes her well, and he wants the right answer. He wants the true story of what actually happened to her.
Yeah,
so,
I would too.
Yeah, I think you really should watch it.
Is it on? What is it on?
It's on HBO Max.
Cool. I might have to sign into your HBO. Actually, I have a new email, so maybe I'll just use my new email and get
Just sign into my HBO Max.
It doesn't work here last time very well.
Okay.
But I will get it eventually because I have to watch the new Harry Potter series.
Yeah, because it's yours is called A Ghost.
Oh yeah. That's right. A ghost.
Speaking of a ghost, do you have a ghost story for me?
I do. That was a great segue.
Ew.
All right. So since Amy's leaving me, she's leaving me to move to California forever. She's never going to see me again.
You're going to have to empty your trash now. I'm not doing it for you.
I'm never going to empty that trash. It's always going to be like that.
Stop it.
So I decided to do
Oh, wait. I have to get my neighborhood stories.
Come on, Amy. Ridiculous.
I'm together.
Guys, I cannot believe who I have to work with. Oh, my God. This is just so embarrassing.
Speaking of California.
Whatever. So, yeah, I am going to be doing the Whaley House.
The what house?
Whaley House.
Whaley.
Yes, it is one that I've had on my list. I started it in 2022 of March.
Whoa.
It was in here as an unfinished extra. And, I started it, and I just wasn't feeling it at the moment. So I was like, I'll just put it in here as an extra. I have so many of those in my computer.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm doing the Whaley House. It is a pretty popular, well-known paranormal
I've
story.
never heard it.
So you have.
Oh, I have?
Yeah, you have. You'll know it.
Okay.
So you had to have. I'd be surprised. So the Whaley House is a beautiful Greek revival-style home in San Diego, California, built in the mid-1800s. It was the home of Thomas Whaley and his family. Thomas was the 7th of 10 children born and raised in New York. His father was a successful businessman, which Thomas ended up taking over. In 1849, he traveled to San Francisco during the California Gold Rush. He built businesses, made some money. And from there, he traveled to San Diego in September of 1851 and stayed for 2 years making money and getting to know the area, witnessing a hanging at the local execution yard.
Oh, fun.
Normal stuff,
Just typical Friday night things.
So on that topic, before I get into the actual house, and the property itself of the Whaley House was where this execution yard was. Okay. And Thomas, along with many of the other townsfolk, because that's what you did on Friday night, let's go watch a hanging.
I love it.
They witnessed the hanging of Yankee Jim, or Jim Roberts, who, along with 2 others, was convicted of stealing a boat. So they're like, let's hang him. So
wow, we have
drastic.
Okay, but yeah, we've really softened.
So drastic.
Up on.
We just heard a story about a mom that was abusing her child and she got off, or neglecting her child and abusing her, and she's fine.
They're like, oh, you stole a boat? Dead. You're just dead. Goodbye.
The ropes.
We have really lightened the reins here, people.
Yeah, this is why everybody's committing crime now.
What was it? You turn the wrong way, dead. You
go right to jail.
You right to jail. That's
right
what it is.
Jail. Yes, I know. I always think of that too. Right to rope. Okay, so
you drive too slow, right to jail.
Right to jail.
Drive too fast, right to jail.
So he was also suspected of other crimes too, including murder, but there was no evidence of it. So I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
It sounded like it was kind of a sketchy way to put someone to death.
Yeah, I mean.
So, about Jim. Jim was pretty tall. He was 6'4" tall.
Holy cow.
He was a big guy. And
that must be really big for you.
Yeah, yeah. So
that's Brie, that's over a foot long. That's over a subway foot long. Taller than you.
That is a foot and 4 inches taller than me.
That's so tall.
I told you I dated someone who's 6'5".
Oh my gosh.
So tall. So weird.
You're only, Brie, I'm sorry. You're only 4.5 foot long subs long.
What?
Have you thought about that? You're less than 5 foot.
No, I'm like 5 foot. I'm 5 subs long.
You're
I'm
5
just
subs.
under 5 subs. I'm like a little tiny bit cut off. Like
So you're
the
no,
nub.
this is what you are. You're 5 toasted foot long
yes, where they
subs
shrink
long.
up a little bit. Yes. How tall are you? You know the $5 foot longs? They're not $5 foot long anymore.
I'm gonna start calling you toasted sub.
Yes. Toasted sub. Sick.
Sorry, I
Okay.
don't know where.
Hey, didn't you say you came up with a nickname for me?
That was it. I've been just waiting for the right.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, I've literally have, but I've been just waiting for the right opportunity for it to come, and like I wanted it to like be natural.
Are you for real?
I'm
That
not
was
joking.
like so natural, man.
Thank you.
You told me that like weeks ago. You're like, oh, I came up with a new nickname for you, and I gotta tell you whenever we do the podcast.
No, it had to be natural.
You never told. Oh, sick! I love it.
Thank you.
I hope it sticks.
I also I didn't want it to be like when my kid's talking about your height, because I didn't want to give her that like leverage, which is like every time she sees
every
you.
time.
So
It's okay. I'm all right with that. Okay, so yeah, he was 6'4" tall, 6'4" tall, and he was hanged. And so like the gallows at the time, I guess there was like 2 different ways that they've ever like done like hangings, and like one way was a short way, one was a tall way.
Okay.
Well, this was a time period where like it was a shorter time.
Oh.
So whenever they hung him, his toes like literally dragged the ground.
Ew, I don't like that.
But not enough to actually support his weight, and his neck didn't break. So he just like hung there and like suffered until like he finally just died.
Oh, that's
So.
really depressing.
Yeah. Back to Thomas.
Okay, back to him.
We're just going everywhere today.
That's
left,
all right.
right, left, right. All right. Thomas returned to New York to marry his high school sweetheart, Anna Eloise Dulani. Together, they returned to San Diego, start their lives, and being the businessman he was, Mr. Whaley remembered that So, whenever they returned to San Diego, Mr. Whaley remembered that terrible scene of the execution yard with
I also would.
with Yankee Jim, and he was like, this property has potential. I bet I can get this place for a steal.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah, but be careful if you get it for a steal, because you could be hanged for stealing it.
That's
So on May 6th of 1856, they began construction on their new home. He said that my new house, when completed, will be the most handsomest, most comfortable, and most convenient place in town, or within 150 miles of here.
okay.
The house was the first of its kind, costing more than $10,000 when completed, and that is $333,783.53 today.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. It's not really that much, but you know,
That's still money.
yeah. It was. I mean, it's not like a $500,000 house.
Right.
It was furnished with mahogany and rosewood furniture. It
Wow.
had Brussels the Brussels-in carpets and damask drapes.
I don't know what that means.
I have
sounds
no idea either.
Sounds very masculine.
Sounds very fancy. From 1869 to 1871, the Whaley House became a place for the entire community. The
Okay.
Whaley home was separated into like 3 sections from what I got from everything.
Jeez.
One as the home, then a general store, and then like a grain store, which was also a courthouse, and then there was also a theater at one point and other things. It was just multi-purpose house for the community.
Right. Okay.
Thomas I put something in the wrong place. Whoa, what did I do? Hang on.
We can give this vegetables to I almost said Brie to Charlotte.
Okay. Well, I totally like messed up. I don't know what happened. Anyway, so they had some kids.
Okay.
They had little Thomas. They had Anna. Wait. Why did I do that? Okay, never mind. Anyway, I'm just going to have to go back to that. That's weird.
Okay.
Okay, so Thomas and Anna had 3 kids, Francis, Thomas, and Anna.
Okay.
Then eventually they had 3 more children, George, Violet, and Corinne. Thomas had the baby Thomas, whenever he was a baby at just 18 months old, he had died of scarlet fever, which is pretty common then.
Yeah.
And at one point after that, a fire had run through the home and it like messed up, destroyed the general store, and the family temporarily moved out of the home, suffering from personal loss and financial loss.
Yeah, I bet.
So they moved to San Francisco. They kept the home, obviously, and I believe they rented out the floors in the meantime.
You haven't done a story in San Francisco before.
I don't think I have. Yes, I did the one house.
Alcatraz?
No. What's that place?
That's not in San Francisco.
The one house? No.
The Winchester House?
Yeah.
That's not in San
Is it
Francisco.
San Diego?
That's just outside of San Francisco.
Oh, okay. Well, this is in San Diego.
Well, I'm just
But
saying
they're
you
in
haven't
San
done a
Francisco.
story in San
I
Francisco.
have not. You're right. And this is also
That's
not
my
in San
favorite.
Francisco.
That's my favorite town. Well, you mentioned San Francisco.
I did.
It's my favorite city in the whole wide world.
I do like San Francisco is really cool.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
You're good. So after settling, Thomas was sent to help take over Alaska.
What?
So like Alaska
We are
was starting
everywhere
to become a thing.
today.
Setting up stores in Sitka and established an American base where. So I'm assuming from what it sounded like, maybe he got called into the army or something. I don't know, but it said like we took over Alaska.
What year
So,
was this?
In like the late 1800s.
So
mid to
no,
late
this is
1800s.
still Alaska was still owned by Russia.
So it says we were taking over Alaska at this time.
That's not correct. No. I'm not. No. We're just. It took us. We didn't purchase Alaska until 1959.
Oh, look at you. You know your numbers. I don't know.
Thank you, because it was a year before my mom was born.
I don't know.
That's how I remember.
But I don't know.
We could have. I
but
don't know anything
we may
about
have
Alaska
still been
history.
settling here, though. Maybe.
Yes.
I don't know. Okay, so we established an American base here, and he was actually elected to be a councilman in 1867. Yeah, so
Whoa.
1860s. Yeah, in Sitka. So I thought
That's
that was
cool.
a fun little thing to add in there.
Yeah.
In 1868, an earthquake hit San Francisco, making the Whaley family ready to get out of there and go back to their old home.
Right.
So portions of the home were still being rented out so the family could like pay off things. And in 1869, the county of San Diego signed a 2-year lease to use the front floor commercial space as their courthouse and some of the upstairs for like record keeping and whatnot.
Okay.
So this brought in like $65 a month, which was a big income for the family. So
Yeah,
they
it
was
was.
kind of like living comfortably. And that's like 1,400 nowadays, by the
Okay.
way. So that's pretty good. That's a good paycheck every month.
That's a good paycheck.
So in July of 1870, the people of the new town San Diego, because they were like a new part of San Diego coming out, and like they were like a new whole section of town, and there was a thing between the new town and the old town, and they were like rivals, and they didn't like each other, whatever. I don't know.
Adorable.
Super cute. So the new town people voted to move the courthouse over to the new part of the town because they're like, hey, this is not convenient to us. So,
Right.
We need it our way. That's not fair. Since they were in a legal binding contract with Mr. Whaley because they'd signed a 2-year lease, this couldn't happen, which pissed people off. So,
And Mr. Whaley wasn't willing to.
yeah, well, he wasn't even there at the time either.
He was in Alaska.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So or I don't know where, I think he was just out of town. So the sheriff and the other townspeople held Mrs. Whaley and I believe their daughter at gunpoint
What?
while they ransacked the home and just like took all their stuff back, all their documents, records, furniture, and didn't give Mr. Whaley the rest of their rent and didn't even compensate him for any kind of damage or acknowledge that what they did was wrong. Super illegal,
Wow.
especially since it was coming from a courthouse.
Yeah, what the heck?
Yeah, come on,
Very
guys.
corrupted.
Laws
Stupid laws.
would not happen today. In 1882, daughters Anna and Violet married. Anna to her cousin, John.
Typical.
Typical. and Violet to a George T. Birchtelli. I totally butchered that. Who was an awful human being. He deserted her just after 2 weeks, and Violet was so depressed that she was driven to suicide by gunshot in the home.
I have something I have to tell you real quick.
Okay.
That just triggered me. I'm going to take this out, but that just triggered me to one of my dad's really good friends. I'm going to put this on mute for a second. One of my dad's really good friends, his daughter, what's her name? Faith. She had just gotten married to this guy. My dad's friends didn't really know him very well. They had only met him a couple times, and they went off and got married. And they went on, like, I don't think they were on their honeymoon. I think they were just like, it was after some point where after they were married and they were out quadding, got in a got in an accident, and he left her at the scene, came back, brought her to the hospital, dropped her off. She had to learn how to walk. Like, she has all these medical problems.
He just abandoned her?
Abandoned her. And he is not, like, he filed for a divorce. Like, just left her. Oh. Like, right after they got married.
Oh my god.
Isn't that so sad?
That's so messed up.
Yeah. It just made me think of that real quick.
Whoa.
My dad was like, he was talking about it the other day, and I was like, what? Like, I knew about it. Like, I was following it on Facebook, but I didn't know all the juicy stuff.
Jeez.
Yeah. Anyways, okay, go ahead.
Did you unmute yourself?
I never muted myself because I was scared
myself. Too. Okay.
Go ahead. Oh, it shows that you're talking.
Okay.
Okay.
Whoa, Amy.
Right?
You guys.
Sorry, we had to take a short little break, and I had to tell Bria
Patreon.
Drama story.
Although I put my mic on. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, she was driven to suicide. She ended up shooting herself in the chest.
Oh my gosh.
And it was in like the, what should I say, in
That's
the backyard.
hard to do.
I know. Oh man. Yeah. And so Mr. Whaley was there when it happened, and so he like grabbed her and brought her into like I think the dining room or the living room or whatever, and held her in his arms until she died.
That's so sad.
I know, his baby. So the family was super depressed with all these bad things happening, so they moved out again, thinking the property was cursed. In 1909, Francis Whaley bought the home again, one of the sons, and restored it so it could be lived in again. And the family moved back in 1912. And eventually the family had just like died out, and the home was at risk of being torn down until the community wanted to save it. The county took ownership with the help of the Historic Shrine Foundation and restored it to its 1918 status. And when Francis restored it, what did I do? Why do I have all these things out of weird places? So the county restored it back to its 1918 status. And in 1916, the home reopened for the public for tours, and eventually it was restored again to what like Mr. Whaley's original like envision of what the house should be.
Okay.
At. So that's what it is at now. Yeah. Okay. So deaths. Because I'm going to bring them up because a lot of them have happened.
Right.
Also, remember the fact that the property was previously the town's local gallows yard, so people have already died on the property.
Yep. I did not forget that.
Yeah. That was definitely embedded in my brain, and not in a good way. So the Whaley's young son, Thomas, died of scarlet fever here.
Right.
I told you, at 18 months old. Daughter Violet committed suicide here. Anna Whaley, the mother, passed here in the home. Frances passed in the home in 1914. Lillian Whaley, I think it's Corinne Whaley, passed in 1953 in the home. And lastly, a very unfortunate story regarding a little neighbor girl named Annabelle Washburn. The Whaleys used to like give out cookies to neighborhood children. This
Oh my
might
gosh.
spike it up in your brain.
Okay.
And as the story goes, the little girl was so excited that cookies were being passed out to everybody that she ran into a clothesline, ruptured her trachea, and she was brought in immediately into their house and died within minutes. Yeah. It was really sad. It's really messed up.
That's so sad.
She was so excited.
Baby.
I know.
Oh, I don't recall any of that,
Okay.
but oh,
It's so sad. Like, oh no. First you don't get the cookies, and then that poor baby. But I haven't quite. I don't know how true that one is, but it's everywhere. So
Why wouldn't it be true then?
because some places say that they haven't been any like records of her or her like death or anything. So I don't know.
Interesting.
Okay, so obviously paranormal fun part.
Sure.
Hauntings started all the way back from when the Whaleys actually were living in the home, obviously.
Wow.
So they would hear footsteps throughout the home, and it would happen so often that Corinne, one of the daughters, would document it into her journal. So it's seen in
Wow.
like public records. People have seen mist apparitions and what in the world? It's so weird how everything got worded weird all of a sudden. I don't know. I did this yesterday. Okay, visitors have heard disembodied footsteps, big and little ones, which they think is from a toddler.
Okay.
Guests and staff sometimes develop a red line like under their neck, like whenever they go over like the stairway area.
Is it from the little girl?
No, they believe it's probably from the gallows.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And also we'll get like shortness of breath in certain areas, but I didn't think about her. So maybe.
Oh, baby.
Things moving on their own, such as rocking chairs and chandeliers, and I'm sure
Fun.
plenty of other things. Disembodied voices, including a baby crying and laughing, as well as the piano playing, have been heard, and the staff has heard what sounds like a party happening with music and singing.
Okay.
In the dining room, the
Also,
staff...
like, I'm sad that you didn't invite me.
Yeah,
Rude.
what's going on? In the dining room, the staff has heard what sounds like a gathering for like a family meal. Like you can hear silverware clinking, and you can smell food, like fresh baked bread and pies.
Yum.
And it also, they've been able to smell tobacco around the home and like a French perfume.
Oh.
Doors and windows open and close on their own. Lights have turned on and off. Mr. Whaley and his wife are still known to be like living here, obviously, like in the afterlife, and known to be like nice hosts.
I love that.
Thomas is often seen walking around the home and checking in on visitors, and has even been like seen and heard upstairs like laughing. Yeah. It's believed that Anna is still busy taking care of her family and home, going about doing her normal routine. She's been seen folding clothes.
Oh, what an awful chore
I know,
to
like
do
this
in
is the afterlife. You have to still fold laundry. She will sometimes guard the upstairs, waiting for permission from people to come up. So, like, I don't know, like, why you would like not go up. Like, you're not. You can just pass through her. She's just gonna like guard the stairs.
She's
like, you may not pass.
You shall not pass.
What's the password? You're dead. I'm coming.
Speaking of folding laundry, shout out to my mom for like doing my laundry the last 2 weeks. It has actually been really nice, and I hope it doesn't stop, but I understand if it does. Because I'm a full-grown adult.
Yeah,
and
okay.
Sure has been nice though.
She's awesome.
She's like, I don't like dirty laundry sitting around, and I was like, me either. I was like, I have like a full like stack of laundry that needs to be washed. I'm like, oh no, my laundry.
Mom.
She's like, I'll do it.
Thanks, Mom. You're the best.
Thanks, Mom. You're the best.
Thanks, Mama Candy.
Okay, go ahead.
So also, yeah, she's been seen folding clothes, and also she's obviously still cooking since they can smell food.
Oh, what an awful chore to do.
Evidently, Regis Philbin came to this home at one point, and he had seen Anna appeared right in front of him when he was on tour. Also, after
What a weird person.
I know, Regis Philbin. Yeah, like, I know. He's dead now. I forgot that he died. Yeah, he died like a couple years back.
No,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Hey, Siri. Is Regis Philbin dead? I think I spelled that wrong. Or I said that wrong. 88. 2020. Oh, yeah. I wonder if he died of COVID. Died on July 25th of 2020.
Maybe he was there and be like, who wants to be a millionaire? And they're like,
Aww.
I do. I didn't know he died.
Yeah. It's been a minute.
That's so depressing.
Sorry. That's
It's
what I
okay.
do. So another funny story is after a really busy day of tours, the staff was like, they were just like so busy that day, having people coming in and out all day.
Right.
And they were closing up. And afterwards, they were startled to see that the front door and the upstairs windows had all locked at the same time.
What?
That the last visitor had left. They just all, from what I gather from that, is that like they can hear all the locks just lock in the house.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And what they think is that like Mr. and Mrs. Whaley were like, all right, we're fine with having people come into our house, but like this is enough for the day.
And we're done.
Yeah. Go home. Leave our home.
We're open 9 to 5. It's literally 5 o'clock.
Leave us alone.
Goodbye.
It is 5:01.
I like it.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Violet, the daughter who killed herself, has been seen in the archway of the parlor as well as on the second floor. And a little girl with red hair has been seen outside smelling flowers outside and playing in the playroom, in the kitchen, and the dining room. I'm betting that that's the little girl that died from the clothesline. Because they didn't say what she looked like.
She was probably eating cookies.
No. I hope she got her cookies.
I hope she got her cookies
I hope
too.
Mrs. Whaley made her cookies.
I hope so.
So as of today, the Whaley House has been deemed one of America's most haunted houses and has been restored to what
Really?
Mr. Whaley had originally envisioned, and is open to the public for tours day and night. And you can also go on paranormal investigations. It has been featured on many paranormal shows and investigated by many paranormal groups, and that is the Whaley House in San Diego, California.
I love that one.
Yeah.
I
it's a fun
really
one.
just don't like that little girl.
I don't know why I put it off for so long, that story, but
You
I
had
just
other
wasn't
ones.
feeling it.
Well, and also you have other ones that you're like, ooh, I'm excited to share. Yeah. Oh, thank you. That little girl just breaks my heart.
I know.
What? And the Violet.
Yeah.
That
And
makes
the
me
baby.
sad. The baby.
So
Oh, thanks for that depressing story, Brie.
you're welcome.
Actually, I liked it. It was really good. Thank you. Do you want to hear a neighborhood story?
You betcha.
All right. So this is from Reddit. My neighbor jumped in front of my car while I was driving down the road to yell at me for going through his trash at night. I told him it was probably a raccoon. He refused to believe it to this day.
So important. Hey, did you go through my trash at night?
No, I didn't. And he like sprays the water, like the windshield fluid. Like, get off my car.
Why?
Why?
Like so many other like obvious reasons as to why your trash could have been ransacked.
No, it was probably a teenager.
It was
like,
definitely the neighbor's kid.
the neighbor's kid.
Yeah.
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 He did it. We don't have records. Not in my good Christian neighborhood.
I mean, bears used to get in our trash.
Yeah. Like
I don't know if I've ever showed you the video of watching a bear pull a giant trash can, because we would have like bear locks on them, and the bears would just like, at one point they got pissed at the bear locks and they just pulled our trash can
Oh my
into the woods
gosh.
over a fence.
Was this in North
Florida.
Carolina or Florida?
Yeah, all the time.
It makes me like, I don't know. My mom went running. Okay, did I tell you about this? She went, okay, I was on the phone with her, literally on the phone. And I was like, do you want me to pick you up? And because she was like walking while I was driving home from work. And I was like, I can pick you up. Like, I'm only 5 minutes away, 10 minutes, like giving her a countdown, right?
Right.
Of like how close I am while we're talking on the phone and like figuring out logistics and stuff. And she's like, no, it's okay. It's no big deal. Like, I'll walk home. I drive in, go upstairs, and I'm getting myself like a glass of water or something. And I look over and my dad is driving out of the driveway. And I was like, where's he going? So I call him and I'm like, where are you going? He's like, oh, I'm picking up your mom. And I was like, I literally was right there. I could have picked her up. And then turns out she saw a moose on Brock.
Oh, no.
And she was like obviously scared because
Yeah.
I was like, I was right there.
Mom.
Mother.
Ugh.
Anyways.
Dad saved the day. Husband saved the day.
Always. Anyways, we're going to get.
Yep.
We have to finish our TikTok.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. We need to go finish our TikTok. Tune in, guys.
They will. You guys can see it right now.
Yep.
Go look on TikTok.
Yep.
It will be
TikTok at WWT and podcast.
Have you checked on the neighbors?
What's with the neighbors?
Bringing Amy out. Psh. So are you just going to like.
Say hi to your cats for us.
Meow.
Don't get
Don't
dead.
get dead. So are you going to
No. I swear. That better not be them.
Are you going to do it with me?
Yeah.